Good evening and welcome to Speaker Club's Saturday night number 85. We have always offered answers. We have always had questions in our mind for which we have never asked the people who could have the answers, because we don't know who has the answers. And for that reason, today's session is a very special one with a theme: Seek to Know. And this idea largely hinges on the simple fact that we all as a collective unit have great wisdom. Individually, we have some great wisdom, but the challenge is, how do we build it up as a group, as a collective unit, where we all can become the better versions of ourselves? That is the idea behind today's session, wherein we are going to have a kind of open mic session wherein each one of you all, one after another, can shoot a question that has been pondering, that has been lingering in your mind, something that has been limiting you, something that has been challenging you, and possibly find an answer from someone in the group right now here who has experienced that challenge, overcome, and has an answer to what you can do about that challenge. So the underlying rule for the entire session is simple. Whoso is asking the question, please, if it's possible, detail the question as much as possible, because that is when people can connect to their specific incident. Once the question has been asked, anyone can just maybe raise your hand, or you can just begin responding to what the question has been posed with the specifics. Please note, with specifics of any experience that you have had where you were able to overcome that challenge or that problem. And in that regard, it will be helpful for everyone in the group to learn about what has been shared. I'll also be sharing my perspective, but I am not the authority or the master over here, like I've always told. Please note, everyone is free to share their experience, their wisdom. We are not talking of anything which is right or wrong over here. It's just something which has worked for you, which is impactful. And let's all help each other in finding the answers that we have always had in our mind, but couldn't find it anywhere, because highly likely you didn't ask it. Today is a chance for you to ask the question and also share. Don't be mean. Share what is it that you have learned from your life based on someone's problem that someone is experiencing. Before we begin with the session, let me give an update over here, because I've always considered this family. Obviously, with 85 Saturday nights being spent together, everyone becomes a family, and that is what I've experienced with you all. 2022, I wanted it to begin on a positive note. It was a great start to the year 2022 with a positive note, with a session, with a Saturday night, with an education session in Toastmasters, everything going great. But I believe I wasn't specific when I said I want 2022 to be positive. I turned out to be positive last Sunday, on COVID positive, and it's been a hectic week. I've been back home, stuck here, but yet it's all good now. The entire family, me, Pragya, my mother-in-law, the two kids, everyone is positive and largely recovered now, with a few symptoms here and there, but we are still managing it as of now. So I know it's been a tough week, and luckily for me, because last week we had announced this, that it's going to be a session like this, I didn't have to take much of an effort to prepare for this session, because it's going to be about you all, the questions from you, the answers from you, and the wisdom flowing in from each one of you. I'll be sharing in my perspectives too, based on the questions that come up. So let's begin with the session today. The first one that I'll be asking is the person who came up with the first question, not the first question, the list of questions that he had. Let me begin with Madhu. Madhu, go ahead with your question that you have. And I would request Hasanuddin sir, welcome Indrajit. If it's possible, please switch on your videos so that it can be a good interactive session and a good learning experience for us. Madhu, one question at a time. If we have more people who are wanting to ask questions and we have lesser time, then we'll accordingly take it up again. No problem. Go ahead. Shoot, Madhu, with your first question.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, all. First of all, happy Pongal, everyone. Okay. My question is, whenever we see some persons, whenever you go to market or any institution or any place, before approaching, to that person, for example, I'll take one example. I'm going to one grocery store in my near my home. Before I go there, the shopkeeper, the owner, the way he's treating with the employee who is kind of worker, I see him, he's shouting, and the way he speaks, it's immediately I'm getting some something in my mind, kind of prejudging, why he's shouting, something like that. Just I'm giving one example. That's it. But no, he's a good person. After going couple of times, I understood that okay, he's good only, but due to something he done, or maybe that is the reason he behaved like that. But at my first thing in my mind, I said no, okay, I need this, and I'll take and I'll go away. But in that time, if you ask the question or in myself, that's a very bad guy. That means I come to very immediately to the judge. I didn't say to anyone, but it's my mind only. No, actually, that skills, that's a very dangerous. Compared to, we can share to others, that's okay. But when we keep in our mind, that's a danger thing. How to avoid this, immediate prejudging, because it is not really affecting at that moment, but unnecessary thinking and all those things. So that's many times happens too.
Interesting, Judge.
So I would like to hear from
anyone who's had an instance over here, just based on the question that Madhu has asked. Anyone has an instance where you have thought negative, or you have had a bad feeling within you while you have met someone, and over time, after some time, you have realized that it wasn't right. Your judgment was wrong. Anyone of you all have had that experience?
Yes.
Everyone. Now the question is, it's a question that everyone has in their mind. It's a question that everyone thinks that they judge way before time, like Madhu is mentioning. Thanks for asking that, Madhu. Let's listen from everyone. What do they do? What do they do, and how do they avoid this trap of judging people? Vikas, go ahead, and request everyone to please keep it crisp, because so that we can take more and more number of ideas that are there. Vikas, go ahead.
I will come to the point, but I want to hear it from you, Rahul. Is it okay to give a little spiritual perspective of
No issues. Until anything is not derogatory to anyone, we are okay, because I've found some of the most intriguing answers to the questions that I've had in my life in different places. Okay. Sometimes from a Muslim friend of mine, from a scripture from Islam. If it serves a purpose to answer and solve my riddle, I'm okay with anything, until it is not belittling anyone. That's the idea. Because shoot.
Yeah. So before starting my answer, first of all, I really appreciate your commitment, Rahul. It is like I can't express my words. Like, you are under the COVID spell, still you are organizing and you have not missed the session. It is really wonderful for me. So thank you for the enthusiasm, and we are getting inspired to see. Like, the second question, I think someone has written that how to take more responsibility. I think from you are the live example. So coming to the question, this is one of the major issue that even I faced many times, and I, as Madhu has kind of realized that it is not going to help us. Ultimately, the judgment that we are keeping in our head, most of the time it might be a different thing which we are assuming. And there is another con side of it. Whatever judgment we are having for the other person, if that is negative, majorly if that is negative, very likely we will get the negative response, negative vibration from the other person, and whatever good thing could have happened, all the possibilities we are ruining from the beginning. So if I judge someone to be very rude, very likely I will end up getting the rude behavior from him, because we are vibrating that kind of vibration. Believe it or not, this, like, even Nikola Tesla, he also believes the whole world is in terms of vibration, energy, and frequency. So this is something which is we need to understand first. What is the con side of the this particular situation? This one or any kind of thing. If we want to go deeper, then we need to understand the crux. What is the real problem that we are facing. First thing, if we understand what is hurting us or what is the disadvantage, very likely we will not repeat that. First thing. Second thing, in the spiritual practice, we tend to see everyone as pure soul. By default, when anyone gets birth, he or she is pure and with all the good qualities. With the time passing by, he or she, like, we are getting some or other attributes as per the environment, upbringing. So if we tap into the purity, the pure attribute of anyone, if we only focus on that part of it, then very likely we'll get only the positive side, positive aspect of it. So that is one way we can definitely deal with it. And further ways I might mention if after others. Thank you.
Chetan, you wanted to answer? Akanksha, after Chetan.
Actually, as a teacher, many times we come across students. At first instance, we find that a student is very good in few aspects, like his presentation and all is too good. But when it comes to other parts like solving numericals and all, then he is not that good. And sometimes, recently I found a student, he joined our class. So he seemed, at first instance, his movements and all, it seemed like he is facing some challenges, but his movements were slow and all. But at studies, he was very good. So it happens. It happens. I don't have solution for this, but I share my experience.
Interesting. Thank you, Chetan. Thank you. Akanksha, and after that, Dinesha.
So this is something I came across.
You're audible. You're audible. Go ahead.
So what I came across was the first thought that always comes to our head is what we are processed to think. But the second one, the way we correct it, is our inner conscience. So sometimes we get that judgment automatically. We don't need to think, okay, I want to judge this person wrong. That's why I'm thinking wrong. No, you automatically get the ability to judge. But then again, you correct yourself saying, no, I'm judging. That is wrong. So I think that will work too. You have to realize that you're going wrong, and that's enough.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Akanksha. That's a very wonderful perspective. It's a choice that you're making when you know that you're judging. It's okay. It's okay, because that is human to be beginning with a certain negative thought or judging, but not letting that judgment come into your action, or being sure that this is an opinion possibly, can be a wonderful place to actually keep it still going. Wonderful, Akanksha. Dinesha, go ahead.
Sir, there is a person called Mark Bolden. There is a TEDx talk. He says that every person will come to a snap judgment within 12 to 14 seconds. If you take, I'll give you one personal example. When my colleague is there, I gave him one report access, online access, Google Sheet access to correct some of the error. I took an online session. I told him very clearly, step by step, how to delete that error. After that, he confirmed me back like he's capable of doing it. But around midnight, 12 o'clock, he sent me a message stating that entire data is deleted without knowing that. Around 5,000 data were there. When you wake up in the early morning, 6 o'clock, when I touch my mobile, I saw his message. I shocked. Now, my mind was saying, I trusted this guy. I gave him complete authority to do the correction. Without informing my supervisor, I gave him a permission to do that data. But at the same time, one formula I applied, instead of immediately replying to that message, WhatsApp message, what he sent me, sorry, without my notice, I deleted entire data. I am extremely sorry. You will be upset. I know that, but please help me how to do that. That's what he sent me, mail and message also. Then I learned one formula from my guru that is called how to become a hero when you got hurt. He gave me HERO, hero. H means happening. That is happen. E means evaluation. We'll come to evaluation about the incident. Then R. R means react or respond. Now I had two options, whether to react to his message or respond. Now, when we react, O means outcomes. Now, when we would have reacted, it would have a different scenario. Now, that is the reason the Guru says we should not react, we have to respond. That is the reason the people who are in high position, they call it as a responsible person, not a reactable person. So I took around 5 minutes break. During that, instead of giving me my immediate thoughts to hand, I waited 5 minutes. Then I said, don't worry, I'll take care. Then I sent a message. I started watching YouTube video, Google, how to restore the data. Within like 10 minutes, I could able to restore the data. Then I said, I corrected, nothing to worry.
Interesting. Thank you.
Then
Thank you.
I personally called him and I told, okay, this is what happened. But he said, I was expecting like lot of shouting from you, but things were like different. I am impressed with the way you handled it. So that I was able to build that relationship.
Interesting. Interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Dinesh. That's a wonderful example. I think that talks about how we were talking about riding the waves. In the moment, what are you responding? How are you responding rather than taking the emotion you for a ride? Thank you for that. Last on this question will be Vijaya. After that, we'll have the next point discussed. Vijaya, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I am having 5 points. I will say fast, very fast. Okay. So first point, when my mind is doing judgment, now start judging. So I am doing one thing, dare. What to dare? Dare to ask. Clear your confusion. Ask the person why you are doing this directly. If you can just say, oh, he told that shopkeeper, so I will go there. I will ask, why you are scolding? If I am having that in my mind, I will do that. And literally I am doing that. Second is give time. If you are not so much daring to ask them, give time to that situation, that person. Don't judge at the particular instance directly. Third thing is be light. Be light means don't be in hype. Fast decision nahi lo, silently usko lo. Third thing is play with your mind. This thing I am doing so many times. I am playing with my mind only. Kaisa ki so many times I am judging that I am getting negative vibes from that person. And so many times those people जिसके लिए मैंने negative vibes आई थी ना, they are now my best friends. Okay, so I am playing with my mind. Nahi, you are thinking negative only, and for those you are thinking negative, na, they are good person for you. So I just उसको toggle कर दिया दिमाग को, and literally they are my best friends, right? Fourth thing is जैसे नई बहू आती है ना, we are getting, so what everyone saying, she is like that. Okay, so we are getting judgment from others. We are listening that and we are making a figure of that person, and you are not even listen 2 words from her or him. So you should be senseful. First you go, you talk, you see that what that person, how that person is. Then only you are able to judge that him or her. So ये मैंने एक पॉइंट निकाले हैं, क्योंकि बहुत टाइम ऐसा होता है, कभी कभी हम नेगेटिव भी पॉजिटिव भी रॉन्ग जजमेंट कर लेते हैं. Oh, he is very handsome, ऐसा है ना, he is very, she is very pretty, she is will be.
विजय हूँ, ठीक है, ऐसे फिर भी अच्छा ही है ओपिनियन है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है उसमें. Okay, Vijay, I'll have to cut you short because we are talking of one point and we have already taken 20 minutes for this. But yes,
Rahul, can I just add a point here with respect to the judgment?
Quick, Nandana.
Yeah, all right, I'll be very quick. I mean, I think it pays to remember, Rahul, that we don't buy a book based on the cover. We buy a book based on the content. So when you look at a person, it's like you're looking very superficially. Maybe you're going by the title, maybe you're going by his attire, maybe you're going by the language. But I'd say when you start seeing his mindset, when you start looking at his attitude, when you start looking at his belief system and his character, his personality. When I say personality, I'm not talking about the outward personality, but then the inward traits that he carries. I think that is when you'd stop judging others. And another thing that comes to my mind is, Rahul, every person who has ever graced this earth is very unique. Unique in the way he carries himself, unique in the way that he comes with the strengths that he has. So when you see value in every person, and when you see a person for the story that he has to tell the world, or the story that he has developed within himself, then I think we involuntarily and we by default will stop judging. So I think these are the 2 points that I'd like to put forward. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you, Nandana, for those wonderful things. I hope Madhu has got a good plethora of ideas now to where and how he can work around this thing. All I would say from my end is just 3 pointers. Again, just the pointers. Do not put people into buckets. We have a habit of whosoever we see, whatever kind of people that we see, we have a habit of putting them into the buckets of what our experience has been. And more so what, like Nandana said, people are unique. If you put across buckets in the world of how people will be placed, you will have to find 7 billion buckets, because that's how unique we are. And each one is different. That's first thing. Second thing, remember, we are seeing only one side of the picture. Whenever you are going to judge something in the first sight, even after a lot of instances, you are still seeing only a picture of the entire movie. Don't judge based on that. It is going to come naturally to you, but remember that may not be the true picture. If that is an assumption that you live with, it'll be far easier for you to keep looking forward rather than sticking to one idea that you have seen, one picture that you have seen, and kind of fixating on that, because that is limiting, both good and bad equally. Always remember, do not fixate. And finally, how flawed are you? And still you want people to love you? You know your flaws, and still you don't want people to see those. What are you seeing? Ask yourself that, and you'll find the beauty everywhere. Next in line, we have Mohit. Mohit, your question.
Yes, Rahul, thank you very much. So my question is, like, when I was back in my college days or my school days, I had the experience of being like fearless compared to what I am now feeling today. So once I have passed out of my college and once I've started taking responsibility of paying the bills, of being the bread and butter winner of my family. So once I started doing that, I started developing fear of what will happen if I lose my job. So what will happen if things don't go well? And I start thinking about the future. Like, for example, tomorrow I get married and I'll have kids. What will happen if I don't have job then? In case I start up a business, if that business fails, what would happen to my employees? So what I want to understand is, as you're taking more and more responsibility, how can we become fearless? How can we add that fearless element? So that is what I was.
Interesting. Thank you, Mohit. Thank you. So for all the people who have had, and because the beauty of your question lies in the fact that we have people of every element that you have asked. Now, let's see who has a response to who has passed through your stage and been or is at a certain different stage and has gone through these questions and has reached there. Who would like to respond? Go ahead, Uma ma'am.
Yeah, at the age of 22, when I got married, I was not responsible at all because I was the only daughter along with my brother, and I was a pampered daughter at home. Everything was given to me, and I didn't know about the outside world at all. But after getting married, I was thrown into the family responsibility, and I had to handle everything on my own. And husband Nataraj was very busy with the bank. So naturally, I had to take every responsibility, be it cooking or finding out what is available in the new place, because our job was transferable. Every 2 years, we had to go to a new place. And from packing to moving to the next place, again settling down, everything I had to take care. So from where did I get all the skill? It is only with, with experience, I got it. So when responsibility or challenges comes to you, naturally, I think some external force or some, some universal power will come to you and you will be able to do it. Initially, you wonder, how can I do it? But you have all the strength. You will get it.
Thank you, Uma ma'am. I think that's a wonderful perspective. I would again request, because we don't want to end up with just answering 2 or 3 queries or 2 or 3 thoughts. Let's keep it short and quick. Thank you, ma'am. I'm not referring to you at all, just because others are responding. Dinesha, go ahead.
As per one of the mentor, Mr. Praveen Fadalkar says that we cannot kill fear. This is a biochemical reaction, like how we feel pleasure. It is same way, it is fear also one of the biochemical reaction. We cannot kill. If you kill one fear, one more will come. If you keep growing, so many fears will come. Depend upon like the way you are putting your long-term, short-term goals. The fear will continue. Even you get married, also you will be more responsible. Fear will come. So many based on the responsibility. What I say, like clearly mentioned, madam, when we get experience, we will be very much of control, so that the fear will come down, little bit come down, but other fears will come in future. That's what I want to say.
It's interesting. Thank you, Dinesha. Vijaya.
What I'm saying that every time say all is well, सबसे first. Okay, because it is the thing. Capability. First point is capability. You should have the capability. इसने छोड़ दिया ना, no problem. I can do something other thing, some good thing, and everything that is happening to us is for good. एक एग्जाम्पल है, मेरा खुद का है, बट वो अभी टाइम का कंस्टेंट है, इसलिए लास्ट में बोलूंगी.
Thank you, Vijaya. Anyone else? Bikash, go ahead.
I have little typical answer. Maybe you can relate. So there is a saying that while you do your duty, think that you are a trustee. So if you are trustee, if you can imagine some trustee, then what they do their duty the best possible way, but they do not worry about the profit loss or whatsoever, because nothing they possess. So everything is taken care. They are just acting as a trustee. So if we can develop that mindset, then definitely we will be fearless and remain insecure while doing our duty the best possible way.
Interesting. Thank you, Bikash. Chetan.
Yes, I think responsibility makes us fearless, because if some added responsibility is there on our shoulders, like you get married to someone, you promise her or him, to her basically, to give a good future. So that added responsibility makes you more fearless. You stretch yourself and work more hard. That's what I feel.
Interesting. Thank you, Chetan. Anyone else? Lakshmi, go ahead.
Yeah, actually the same thing I crashed, actually. The same thing, right? What he is telling. Late night I will get dreaming, right? I will lost my job. So what to do? Like that I will feel. After that, what I raised, how we can work on that, fear should be there. Then only we will work properly, actually. So we should learn daily basis, whatever field it is. So once we learned something, I lost today my job, tomorrow I can get one more job easily. If I am capable means experienced. Simply I will, for example, where the COVID time, all work from home. So nothing we are doing, just days will count. So for example, I'm telling, even that time also you were educating your knowledge for webinar or something. So continuously working on yourself daily basis. So if losing also no issues. So again, business also he told, right? Same thing in my mind, same what my question he asked actually. So same thing I can tell. So business, what we can do, we need to work daily basis, for not daily basis, weekly basis, discuss with your friends or the experienced person that business they're doing, right? So we are parallelly, we need to work. Actually today last job, no need to worry about that one. You will get job easily. We know that one. once you get to experience everything. So business, you need to work parallelly. That's my suggestion.
Interesting. Thank you, Lakshmi. With that, we'll close this question with my thoughts on that. What if I'm not able to keep my spouse happy? What if my children, they aren't safe? What if I begin a restaurant and tomorrow the customers don't come? What if? There's a portion of your mind which can be occupied with this what if. But remember, the more portion this what if occupies, the lesser you're giving an effort towards what is under your control. The things, elements which are way beyond your control, something which you cannot take charge of, if they're affecting what you are doing, that is where the flaw is. When you said responsibility is growing, because as you grow, I'll tell you today, Akanksha's responsibility might not be that much as Uma ma'am's is. And as like a tree, the way you grow, the roots deepen and the people who are dependent on you will always keep going, will always keep upping. So the only answer there is for two things, for the things which are beyond your control, like Bikash mentioned, the element of spirituality, where the thing which keeps us trusting our things which are beyond our control is faith. Have faith that everything else in the world which has to be in its place will be there when you are doing what is under your control to the best of your abilities. If something moves apart, remember, even then you need to have faith that if it is moving or it is breaking down, it is for the better things which are to come up. With that faith, what will happen is that you will be able to act on what is under your control and give that your best. A simple example, today is 85th Saturday night of Speak Up Club. We have had instances between this journey where only 4 people came up for the session. And today we are not marketing, you're not doing Facebook ads, Google ads, or promoting it anywhere. What you can do is what is under your control. Prepare, deliver, add value, people will keep coming. If they feel the value is there, they'll keep coming. I can't control someone's function on a certain day. I can control what I can do and what value I'm delivering in the session. Despite, like Bikash was mentioning, despite COVID, I had a choice because I'm sitting at home and doing it. Had it been a physical space, I did not have a choice. That is the fear come true for me today. But what is in my control is I'm sitting and I'm just relaxed. Let things happen. Have faith that everything else will fall in place while you are doing your best to the things which are under your control. That is what I think, and that is what has helped me as I've grown. Today I'm 35, father, businessman, employees, an entire community. There are things which are related to me and hinged on who I am or what I am doing. What if? You're talking of all these fears of responsibilities. I'm talking of fear of death. Tomorrow, if I'm not there, what's going to be the next step? I have those thoughts also. But faith lets me live and do what is under my control. And leaving those fears apart. Those are there, like who mentioned that at the start. Fear cannot be gone. It cannot be killed. It can only be managed. Managed to the extent where it does not hamper what you can do. That is the answer that I have found with regard to your question, Mohit. Who's coming up next? Anyone else? Any other questions? Who's coming up? What are the thoughts that have been there in your mind and you would want to discuss or have everyone's opinion over here today? Because we have a list of 8 more questions from Madhu. If you don't have, he'll use the chance. Yes, Chetan, go ahead.
If some wrong things are going on around you, in city, in state, in your nation, how to just neglect those things? Means, for example, if suppose your state government is corrupt, if suppose a celebrity who is an idol, who was an idol, has committed suicide, but it seems like it's a murder, and you can observe that the state police has done nothing but stop the case,
Okay.
save the culprit. So, and you can't resist yourself from posting this on Facebook. Your family says that don't do this, that don't do that, because nothing will happen even if you post, but something may happen that some action may be taken on you.
Interesting.
But you are of the nature that you can't see that something wrong is being done and you just neglect it.
So Chetan, what is the question over here?
So how to
do?
Neglect something wrong which is happening around you?
Okay. Chetan,
you are politically aware.
Chetan, I would like to correct that question first. The question should not be how to neglect. The question should be how can I take out this dilemma from? Neglect, if you're doing, eventually you're killing yourself. You're killing what your thought is. How do you manage? How do you manage? Because okay, हाँ ठीक है, बीवी बाजू में पास में आ जाओ. चालू हो गया already. Go ahead, Vikas.
So there is a famous book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. There, very good concept is like described, that is circle of influence and circle of concern. So first we need to understand what is in my circle of influence and which part is under my control. If something is not under my control, I would be simply giving my energy, my attention, then it is of no use. It is just cranking away of my energy, valuable energy. Whatever, like whichever actually you give attention to, that grows. So if we want to be in control, then we have to grow that particular person and be in control. If we think about the politics, if we think about the corruption all around, nothing going to be changed. So understand, if just ask this question, if my thinking is going to add any value to that element. If not, then why should I invest my valuable energy? Because understand one more thing, for every thought that we are making, 10,000 watt of bulb worth energy is kind of getting wasted. So valuable is our thoughts. So unnecessary, why should I overthink? It will be a burden to myself and to everywhere around. So ask this question and you will get the answer. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to respond?
I think I absolutely love that point wherein he said that, energy matters. We carry very limited energy with us, with considering all the things that we do and all the information that we take in. So I think we applying the Pareto's rule here works well for us. I mean, 80% of the activity, is it useful to you? And 20% of the activity, is it useful to you? So always invest in that 20%, which is very useful to you. And always try to keep them aside, because from the 80% of the activities that we usually are involved with, there never comes any result from those activities. So always invest your time, your energy, your thoughts, your words, your actions into those 20%, because when you are in that 20%, then when you see something around which is happening and you really want to bring a change, then you will bring a change, but in a very productive way. But when you're doing 80% of the time, the things which are not useful, you're investing your energy into it, okay, you are doing activities related to it, then nothing comes out of it. So I think a little wisdom and a little right kind of thinking helps us in giving a very productive society, so I think that helps.
Interesting, Nandana. I would just like to add over here, when especially it is said, the voice of one person cannot be, just because it isn't loud enough, it doesn't matter. Chetan, the point that you mentioned is something that I also agree, that if you feel that there is something which you want to fight for, there are ways of doing it. One, given your current state, What you can do that much. I'm not saying don't at all touch or become indifferent towards things which matter or which you feel, because eventually tomorrow when something once something which is related to you happens, everyone else will say the same thing. It doesn't matter to me. It is not in my circle of influence. But the point is, what things matter to you, find a cause, whatever you are connected to. I'm not talking of a news flow or one event based thing where you can chase your energies, like the point that you mentioned, that someone's being said as a suicide and the case is being closed. Many times these are instances where you can just raise a voice and leave it, but you can't let your entire energy chase that. People mess up there, because there you're putting your energy, so much of energy, into things where you're losing out on what you actually have to. The other approach towards that is, I've seen this in a few individuals, wherein they talk of this is messy, that is messy, this city is not planned, this is messed up, this is bad, this is bad. I've seen them not responding what is there, but over the years growing up the value chain and then coming to a power, then coming to a place where they can make that change possible. So that comes by growing and focusing your energies on what you are doing, scaling up and becoming influential, and then using your power for the things that matter to you, to bring those changes which are required, which you always wanted. But there's a time for it. And for that, you have to make sure you are coming to that prominence where you can bring about that change that you aspire for. Rather than going from the bottom up, reach the top and then trickle down the idea that you have to the bottom. That way the change will come, but it will take time, and it will come at a time when you are in that power to bring that change. More often than not, in the process of reaching there, people forget all what they began with and end up doing just as much as what everyone else is doing. Vijaya.
First point is positive attitude regarding anything. Second thing is, if we are having excess of emotion to anything, it's a mental illness. It's a reality. The suicide case, वो जो बोले ना, तो उससे connect किया, everyone knows that. So उस case में people got mental. कि यार ऐसा कैसे हो गया, यू कैसे हो गया, वो तो emotion, we have to control our emotions, and then only we can control our feelings and everything, our life. So main problem is our emotions. And means emotions are not problem, but more of that. Okay, that is
extremes
problem.
of it.
Yeah. And third is vibrate. We are all our energy, that as everyone is saying. So vibrate on high frequency. I relate it because I'm doing जैसे chakra healing होता है. So everyone wants, I want that spiritual alignment and enlightenment and everything. But at the last, when that focus goes away, na, I want a car, I want Audi. That is the thing. We are still in the materialistic living. So that's why this thing happening.
Interesting. Thank you, Vijaya. Chetan, I hope they are giving you a few inputs to where and how you can go ahead with it. Mohit, you want to ask? You want to respond?
Yes. So actually, I also had this. Also had to manage this thought. Initially, 10 years back, I was having a thought that this environment is highly damaged. I need to protect it. So I was controlling my mother to not use plastic and all my relatives to not use plastic. I used to go by cycle. I used to control other people to also use autos, and but eventually they also started using cars and everything, and that is not really hurt. But how it did help me is like as I kept passing by, as I kept choosing jobs, I also had this inert feeling, or that inert energy of doing something for the environment. So that actually, while doing the job also, that doing the job, choosing that type of job, also doing the job, that gave me that energy. So even though initially my efforts did not change the environment, it actually helped me be motivated. So that's what I want to say.
Interesting. Thank you, Mohit. I think that's a wonderful perspective. Just Chetan, the last thing that I would say over here is that when you're talking of many things, if you're talking of many things, It is a challenge that you have to work around yourself on how you are balancing your emotions. But on the other side, where Vikas and Nandana have mentioned, I would only say choose your battles wisely. You can't be spreading your legs to 10 different battles. If you're choosing poverty, choose. Work at the grassroots level of how you can make that better. If you're working on anything, if you're talking of environment, you talk of anything. All I'm saying is today, you look at 10 different news channels, you'll find 10 different causes that you can fight your life for. And if you're choosing one, 9 others will say that you are not concerned about environment, you're not concerned about this, you're not concerned about that, it doesn't matter to you. There'll be all those things. The point is you can't be serving everywhere. Choose your battle, one place, and live that life for that one reason. You may as well skip the other battles because you're doing justice to one at least, rather than just giving lip syncing to the 10 ones which are there. Who's coming up next with their question? Anyone else? Any other questions that you have you'd like to ask?
How to deal with manipulating people?
You want to learn how to manipulate people or how to deal
how to deal with the people? So many people we are having in our life in which are manipulating others against you. So many fields, in our office also, at home also, within friend circle, everywhere we are getting. So how to deal that those people?
Interesting. Who's coming up? Answers. Have you experienced someone who was manipulated against you? And how did you deal with that? Yes, Madhu, go ahead.
Yeah, Vijay ma'am, I think I don't say 100% I'm always overcoming this, but most of the time, this I faced, and most of the time how I challenged, overcome that situation means, if I give a chance, they will manipulate me. That's my first, my priority. Like, suppose if I go in front of them, who is going to manipulate, or I am in that environment, the way if I give a chance to them, definitely they're going to manipulate. With my thought process or with my intellectuality, how to avoid them, I'll try to do something, and I'll change whatever they're trying to do. But it's not possible always. But I'll say that's most of the time that's our choice. Okay, even some people will give try to manipulate you. Something it is not available. I'll say, oh, okay, good. But it's not going inside me. It says just only at the top layer. I'm not saying it's 100% will work, but whenever it's not happening, and it is mandatory for me, then I'll say okay.
No,
Madhu,
what I'm saying,
Vijay
it's
saying,
it's not you are manipulated. If someone against you is
Madhu, as an example, I'm manipulating Vijaya as to how you are. And so Vijaya's behavior changes towards you. That is what she's saying.
Okay. What I thought is someone is trying to manipulate me.
No issues. Yeah, just think over that, because if you've got the question right, go ahead, respond.
So this is a very good question, and I think many of us actually have faced this kind of situation one or other time. So one way of dealing this is confront the people with a very calm and composed mindset. Understand why they are manipulating. Do not behave erratically, because it is not going to help anyway. Because by being rude, you cannot change any rude. It has to be the antidote of the opposite. So if you keep giving the due respect to the person who is manipulating you, and very cordially seeking why he is or she is doing that, and accepting for that particular time that okay, this is something, some karma was there for me, and it has been kind of washed away. You accept it unconditionally. Do not judge too much, and do not disrespect that person. The other time, next time, that person will think, okay, even though I do such kind of evil, but still he is or she is kind of unsickable. I think I should not do more bad to such a person. That kind of thought will definitely come. That is one way.
Interesting. I would like to respond to that, Vijaya. BMW की पता है machines खराब होने लग गई, कैडबरी में कीड़े आने लग गए, मारुति में वो एड्स वर्कर ने खून डाला है. Did you trust them? Because you as an individual, we have talked about this in the session, what's your DNA? You as an individual build your perception, your image based on the consistency of what you have dealt or what you have delivered with people. Once you are consistent with who you are as an individual, if you are changing, if you are not consistent, if you are having that wavering patterns, people will obviously think that, okay, this could be the low, this could be the high. With whatever you are doing, if you are consistent in your pattern, whenever anyone talks to anyone about you, there will be a question mark to that person rather than to who you are. For that, two things need to happen. One is consistency in who you are projecting yourself to be. I won't trust if someone says that BMW ki machines kharab hone lag gayi. It has built its brand over the years. That is what you have to do as an individual. If you talk of integrity, if you talk of character, if you talk of caring, if you talk of a relationship, what is your DNA and how have you projected that over a period of time? First. Second, जिसको भी influence कर, अभी manipulate करने वाले तो आज ये है, कल कोई और आएगा, कल कोई और आएगा. You cannot control them. What you can control is the people who are being manipulated against you. And you're not controlling them also. Again, let me tell you, you're not controlling them. There also what is happening is that openness of communication. At any point in time, if someone hears something about me, I have built that communication channel with people wherein they can just give me a call and say, ऐसे सुनने में आया. Rather than किसी और से बात करके राहुल ने ऐसे किया हो सकता है क्या? The depth of conversations and communication that you have with people is where the bond is built. That is the reason I always tell, in not just in personal relationships, always remember to talk to people, not talk about people. Every time you as a personality have a habit of talking about people, please be sure the day you are absent, you are the point of discussion. Avoid those circles where people are talked about. Join those conversations where ideas are talked about, thoughts are talked about, growth is talked about, challenges are talked about, not people. A lot of people have seen a lot of, again, no generic stereotyping to anyone here. A lot of women kitty parties, groups, or these late night drink parties or whatever you're talking. Look at the kind of conversations that happen. And if you're a part of that, remember, today you're a part of that, tomorrow you are that. And that is what will define. So I hope that answers you, Vijaya, that first build your image projection very clearly and keep that consistent. And with the people who matter to you, have deeper conversations and open conversations. Anyone else would like to add anything over there? I'm waiting.
Yes, just one quick point.
Nandana, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just really loved the way you said that character is something that you build over time, you know, and when that is built and when that gets embedded into people's mindset, then I think it is very difficult for others to manipulate you or you to become manipulated by others, because you can never control the world or you can never control other people. The only thing that you can control is you. So if you are allowing yourself to be manipulated, or if you are manipulating others, it's only your choice. So when I think when we become aware of this particular point, then I think that is where it all stops. So the control is always within you. And when you realize that, then I think you become a better individual. And I think there's no one within your circle or outside your circle who can ever manipulate you.
Hasanuddin sir, go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Rahul. My question to you, it is an example. Let us understand this same question with an example. In a families or in any organization also. For example, a mother manipulates her son against her daughter-in-law. The same thing, sometimes daughter-in-law manipulates husband against mother-in-law. Here, victims maybe sometimes the daughter-in-law, maybe sometimes the mother-in-law. In this situation, how the victim handles the situation? How should the victim handles the situation? It can be in the organization also. The sometimes employees manipulate the managers against another employee, and there will be last disastrous results because of this chamchas, so-called we call. So how to manipulate these kind of chamchas or manipulating people? This let us understand this with this kind of example.
Very interesting, Hasanuddin sir. Very interesting question. Who would like to answer? I believe someone who's been a daughter-in-law, someone who's been a mother-in-law, who's been a boss. Please feel free to respond of how you have dealt with it. I believe with everyone smiling on the question that while it was being asked, I know you have deep within experienced it somewhere. How did you go about it? Go ahead. Who's going? हसनदीन सर, किसी के पास कोई जवाब ही नहीं है इसका, आज तक कोई जवाब नहीं पैदा हुआ है.
No, I think Rahul here Rahul, I think here the strength of character is what that comes into picture, because as I said earlier, no person can ever influence you unless you really want to be influenced by others' thoughts. So if you really know the worth of people, yes, every person has his own weaknesses and he has his own strengths. So if you are willing to see the positive side of a person, then I think every person seems wonderful. Yes, the flaws are always there. You're just looking at a mirror, and in a mirror you always see your flaws and also others' flaws. And when you accept people with their flaws, and when you're accepting enough to live with those flaws, because you're also a flawed individual. I mean, no person ever born on this earth is perfect. So when you have that concept within you, then I think everything becomes wonderful, because relationships are there to strengthen the bonds, not to see the negative side of it. And it really doesn't pay you to break those bonds just because someone fills your ears, and just because someone tries to negate the beauty of a human being. So when you are with this particular truth of yours, then I think every relationship
Nanda, here I would just like to break there. The point is not about you being influenced or you being manipulated. The point is about someone who's weaker, in the sense of not having that right judgment, being manipulated in your favor or against you. That is where, how do we deal with a situation where someone else is influenceable, or whatever is the right word for that, I'm sorry, manipulated or something like that. What is it that we can do when we are around people who can be influenced?
So Rahul, I think family plays a very important role there. I mean, within a family, if there is a person who has his judgment growing strong within himself, then I think that person should come in support of a person who is being influenced, and then get that perspective right there, because if you see some wrong happening within the family, and then if you do not involve, then it grows and it becomes a wound which can never be healed, and then a relationship gets broken there. So if you see that someone is influencing you or influencing a member of your family there, and if you can correct it then and there, then I think it is worth doing it, because not every people is born strong, but then if you have that strength within you, then it pays to support others.
Interesting. Thank you. Vijaya, go ahead.
One solution ये हो सकता है कि जो मैनिपुलेट कर रहा है ना, put that in our क्या बोलते हैं ना, अपने इसमें उसको ले लो. ये बहुत बार होता है. What Sas and Bhav are fighting for, that male in between, na?
Pati.
हाँ, so what is the thing? If that two are friends ना, तीसरे की तो गई, मतलब उसका कोई है ही नहीं ना. He is free now. First thing is that.
हो गए फ्री, हम बहुत फ्री हो गए.
नहीं, ये होता है. अगर सास बहू की होने लग जाएगी अच्छे से, तो जो मैनिपुलेट कैसा कर रहा है, या तो बहू कर रही है, मतलब जो वाइफ कर रही है, या फिर मदर कर रही है मैनिपुलेट. अब कोई मैनिपुलेट ही नहीं कर रहा ना, वो आपस में ही सेट कर रहे हैं ना सब अपना. तो दिस पॉइंट कैन बी डन कि हम आपस में.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to add something else? Go ahead.
हाँ, so जैसे किसा होता है ना कि there are two boards, and if वो जो मेल है ना, दोनों बोर्ड्स पे जाने का सोचता है, मेरा मम्मी भी मेरा वाइफ भी, ऐसा होता है बहुत बार. So capture one board, और या तो तीनों एक साथ बैठ जाओ, वो होता नहीं कभी, है ना. So capture one board, किसी एक पर्सन को उसमें रखो, ये सेकेंड सॉल्यूशन, इट्स अ सेकेंड सॉल्यूशन, है ना. एंड थर्ड पर्सन की दोनों मिलके केयर कर.
ओके, ऐसा. विजया, कभी खुशी कभी गम के बाद एक और अभी आने वाला है बहुत जल्दी, अभी इससे इंस्पायर्ड होगा. Madhu, go ahead. And this will be the last question because we are already at 10:10, and after that we'll be closing. Go ahead, Madhu.
Yeah, it's a question. Shall I go ahead, or is
No,
anyone?
not a question. No, not a question. I thought you were responding to that. So again, Hasanuddin sir, I don't have a concrete answer because from what I feel, especially in terms of being a husband and being grinded between the mother and the wife, I've experienced that and I've been there. The only thing which I've found is the differences come in because each one wants to have the upper hand. And where I have played the role of a mediator, again, I'm not saying I'm successful, far from it. But from what has worked for me is to give areas or segments of my life where each one has their own priority and place. This has something which has worked for me in terms of how I'm managing them. I've had days when I have taken my mother for a ride. I've had days when we have gone for a holiday with I've gone for a holiday with my wife. So what we have to do is, at the end, the husband is chucky piecing. That is always there. There's no alternative to that. There's no denying that fact. But the point from where I've seen is that even in corporates also, the idea is you have to start building. The person who's being influenced has to come to awareness that this is not helping the larger picture, the company or the family or the entire environment in which they are operating. For the environment to be better, there has to be an open communication and give and take of elements. That is where I'll do this. This is the critical thing, non-negotiable element for the family. As a wife, I'll do this. As a mother, also the case response has to come up where I understand this generation is changing and their needs, their requirements are different. There will be challenges. The upper generation, the elder generation may not be able to understand this and they might be rigid. There could be challenges. That is where you have to see, as a husband, as this generation, I've taken a stand there also, where I've scolded my mother also. And there have been instances where I've told my wife also that this is non-negotiable and this is required. So it's all about a balancing game. I feel the entire negative energy happens because kiski chal rahi hai is the mind game which happens. There's no concrete answer. Let me be frank over here. I am also not clear with regard to what to answer because there's no standard answer to this which can work out. All I would say is that open communication, open discussions will help, and giving and taking will help in building and bettering this environment which each one of us have to live. At the end, if we all want to be happy, one person can't be sad. We can be more or less happy, but it can't be the other extreme where one person is suffering and the other person is extremely happy. It's all about a balancing game. Chetan and then Vijaya, quick.
Yes. If suppose, if it's a question of upper hand, suppose if a daughter-in-law, she is married at 26 and she thinks like whole and soul, the authority or the upper hand over my husband was of her mother-in-law till 26 years, isn't it? She has recently married. So she can think in this manner, and mother-in-law, she can think that this girl, she has come from other home to my place, some other place.
Okay. Now
She
here
left
the
her
interesting
names.
sorry, Chetan, I'll have to cut
She
you
left
there,
her-
because I cannot be talking about what one person can do, other person can do. We can talk about what we can do. And so my point is, what can we do is the point of discussion over here. If you have a thoughts on that, do respond. Because I know the ideal thing will be mother understands or the wife understands and
Then we
they
should be
understand each other.
Whoever is wrong. That's it.
It is there. But again, it doesn't end up in that idealistic situation. I understand. But as a person, as here, whoso is sitting over here, Bikash, Sri Krishna, Uma ma'am, Madhu, whoso is there, as an individual, what can I do if I am in that situation is what we're discussing. I can't control, I can't tell Pragya this, I can't tell my mother this. In the sense, I can do it, but I can't be expecting that my Pragya should be thinking about my mother, that she was there with me, she brought me up. बहुत लंबा है, कोई कंट्रोल नहीं कर पाता इतना. अपन क्या कर सकते हैं वो बात करते हैं. My point is that, okay. Anyone else would like to respond?
Mr. Rahul?
Yes, Hasanuddin sir, go ahead.
Yeah, the same question I asked to a vice person. He said, देखो भाई साहब, ये एक्सपीरियंस के साथ में आएगा. तुमको मालूम होना चाहिए कि शर्ट को शर्ट के जगह पहनना है, पैंट को पैंट के जगह पहनना है, टोपी को सर पे लगाना है. अगर तुमसे गड़बड़ हो रही है तो तुम्हारा ही मिस्टेक है वो. You should know which person should be put at which place, which priority should be given to which person, which respect should be given to which person. It comes only through experience. बेटा तुम सबर कर लो.
Thank you, Hasanuddin sir. Last में लेकिन मार के गए. Okay, we are at 10:15. Madhu, I'm sorry, I could not take more of your questions, but the idea is that the reason, let's come to the close for this session, wherein I'll just tell why we did this session today. How many of you all have got ideas now on how you can do any specific thing that you have discussed over here, or that was not your question also, and you have got ideas to how we can do it better? Raise your hand if you have got some idea on some element on how you can do it better. Interesting. That is the reason we have to seek to know. For so many years, you have had these questions in your mind, but you have not got the questions out. बच्चे को अगर क्वेश्चन पेपर नहीं दोगे तो आंसर कहाँ से मिलेगा? दिमाग में जो खिचड़ी पक रही है उसको बाहर प्लेट पे रखोगे नहीं तो जवाब कहाँ से मिलेगा? You have to speak, you have to discuss. That is the reason the places where I've had so many people where they go for long drives, parties, enjoy fun, friends, they call people their friends, and at the end of it, when they have a challenge, when they have a question, all they have is only themselves. Start having deeper conversations with people for you to find the answers. May not be answers, at least the direction to where you can do something better. And I'm happy with this session today. Each one of you all, I'm hoping that you have got a thinking point, a direction at least, if not a solution, a direction at least in the things, towards the things which you can do a lot better. So that was the idea behind today's session. Chetan, your hand is raised. Any question? Okay, perfect. No issues. So again, we have all the people over here who I'm going to send a message. I told this at the start. Okay, let me just hold on after the session. I'll be disclosing or I'll be sharing something after the session is over. Just give me a second. There's someone by the name Shaheen Khan. I'm just waiting. Shaheen Khan?
Yeah.
Is this Shanu Khan?
Yeah, दोनों मेरी ही है.
दोनों आप ही हो, चलो बढ़िया, अच्छी बात है, thank you. May I request you to contact me on my WhatsApp after the meeting? I had something to ask you. So yes, Vijaya. Vijaya, bolo. Okay, before we close the session, any thoughts on how you felt about the session today? And I'm going to open the WhatsApp group.
I want to share story एक बार, please.
बोलो story बोलो, आज तो सुन बोल दो.
That Mohit, I think, he asked that the fear of losing job. So the same case happened to me. I lost my job within one night. ऐसा हुआ था मेरे साथ. So what is the case? I was working in an institute where I was a faculty and a branch manager. In that case, I was about to give birth to my daughter. And there was that promotion cycle every year we are having. So that in that case, I am having that promotion exam and interviews and everything. I cleared all the things with a good number. Then the company person, they realized that I am going to discontinue this what you can say, job for a few months. And there was at that time there was 6 months of maternity leave, like that. Okay, so what they did, once the interview is over and in evening 8 o'clock, I got a mail that you are transferred to Jammu Kashmir. Okay, from Bangalore I was transferred to Jammu Kashmir, means give resignation. Okay, leave your job, leave your 1.5 years of hard work there and go. We are not going to give you maternity leave. We are not going to give you 3 months of salary. Okay, and this is the whole case. So that is the I was every time afraid of that thing. Yeah, or your job चले गया तो फिर what will be the case? Okay, so वो हो गया मेरे साथ. And next day I started crying after seeing the mail कि ये क्या हुआ. Then after few days, normal, because I realized that what is happening for me now, it's for good. I realized that thing. And after that, right now, I am the owner of the 3 businesses. I'm running 3 business. And now I'm saying that I can call women to work with me. Okay, so whatever is happening to us now, it's for good. At that job, I am doing from morning 7 to evening 7. Okay, and now I'm free. I'm working from my home. And I'm not having any fear of anything right now. Because I know whatever I am doing now, I am expertise in that. And I am also learning in that one. मैं एक्सपर्टाइज तो कर ही रही हूँ. मैंने अभी तक जैसे इतना सारा कुकी बनाया या कुछ भी बनाया. So I am very much expertise in that. कि अच्छा ऐसा ये कंटेंट डाल दिया तो इसका क्या आउटपुट होगा. I know that. And I am learning also. So don't afraid of losing anything. Just believe in yourself. And God, we are human beings. God have more important and more good plans for you. And that is the thing.
Interesting. Thank you, Vijaya. I think that was the final nail for Mohit to stop thinking about what if and the fears which come in while the responsibilities increase. I hope that helps Mohit. So with that, we come to an end for today's session. Anyone would like to share any thoughts, any feedback for the session? Shoot now. If you want to do it here. Yes, Akanksha, go ahead.
First of all, thank you so much for the session, sir. Taking your time out despite your health issues and having everyone in the family. That is a lot. So thank you so much for that. And this session, for me personally, was a lot to learn. There were so many, because different perspectives. One question, we had so many perspectives. You had to cut short the people. You have to wait, we have more questions. So that's how versatile we are. We have so many different perspectives, so much to learn from each other. The network we are building, we have so much to learn. So this is one session that it is always going to be one of my personal favorites. So thank you so much for that, sir. And we really wouldn't mind part 2 because there are still questions.
Thank you, Akanksha. Yes, who's coming up next? Dinesha, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. My first question in the beginning, I said, you are looking very nice, very handsome. I don't know because I missed middle of one session. Because of that, I don't know. You said you will be answering that.
Yeah, the reason was I got positive. I got COVID positive, and I've been battling it for the last 1 week, and yet the spark is still there to be sitting up on a Saturday night at 9 p.m. because this is something which excites me. So that's a spark that's coming in. Thank you, Dinesha.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Chetan. Chetan, you're on mute. Sorry.
Actually, all the sessions are very nice. Your past sessions are also helping me. In past session, in one of the session, you said relating one more step, stretch one more step. So nowadays, my schedule is like morning 8:30 to evening 10 or 11. So it is helping. Past
Thank you.
sessions.
Thank you, Chetan. Yes, Nanna.
I just got to hear about what you have been through for the past 1 week, Rahul. But then I would say, God bless you. You just look quite energized and quite quite more refreshed to me. So God bless you and have a real good health going ahead. All right. And yes, coming to this session, I think I just love this particular thought of coming up with the questions, the questions that eat you away, and then trying to get the solutions or trying to get the perspective of others, because most of the time when we are with our fears or when we are with our own thoughts, we think that we are the only people who are experiencing this kind of experience. But then when we put it outside, when we bring it to the world, then we know that there are thousands of people who have gone through this and who are still going through it. And that, if not gives us any solution, at least it gives us the strength to move ahead and then face it. Yeah, I think so. It's a very good thought. And thank you.
Thank you, Nanna. Okay, so yes, Madhu, go ahead. Last.
Yeah, and if it's not possible, for continuation the same topic on the next weeks, is it any other way that if any, one or two questions, if we post, you post in any in the group, or someone is going to provide in any, voice message or something, or is it possible? As I kind of said.
Yeah, with regard to the session. Last week when we actually didn't have this idea of this session and we began this idea, and I know that one single point today in the entire, it's almost been 1 hour 20 minutes that we have begun the session, and we have discussed, I believe, only 5 broad questions which have come up that talks about how much each one of us have to offer and how much each one of us is seeking. So this is something which I feel we will be having on a monthly basis, every third or fourth session, depending on how we are going about and how we are balancing things on the topic and how much timeline do we have. We will be having this. The challenge with putting it on the group is that the responses will be more like very cut short, and you won't find the perspective as you would be getting it while someone is sharing and discussing it over here in the group. And so it's a little challenging to open the group for that idea. The questions are valid. I completely respect your desire to find the answers. But I think we will be having these sessions. So we will be having version 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 of Seek to Know, and we will be keep having these often. The only challenge with these programs is that they are very unstructured in nature, and so they can be very haywire. Any topic from anywhere, any idea can come up, and I'm not sure. If you tell me that all these 5 questions are given to me, I can prepare 1-hour programs for each of these questions. That is how the preparation goes. But again, the idea behind the spirit behind the entire session was about listening from different people of what has worked for them and based on their experiences. So that rawness and the commonality among all the people is what brings the authenticity of that solution. So we will be having more of these sessions. Let's see how we try to work around that and have more of these ideas. Okay, so yeah, sure, we will keep that running for sure. No denying that. And I hope that answers your question. With that, we come to an end of the session, and let me close it the usual way. Saturday nights have never been this beautiful for the last 85 Saturday nights now. Thank you for the honor that you keep coming back, sharing your perspectives, listening to our perspectives, and gaining new perspectives. Thank you for the love that you keep coming back. See you all next Saturday, 9 p.m. again. Good night.